Hello and welcome to the Gorgeous Goddess YouTube channel. Today's video is titled Why You Should Forgive Everyone, Everything, and Our True Nature is Love. Because those two statements go together and support each other. So starting with our true nature is love, what does that mean? It means when your spirit was created, it was created out of vibrations such as love, peace, freedom, joy, but primarily love. And that is true for every being that lives on this planet. It does mean that every time somebody acts not out of a vibration of love, they are not acting out of the truth of who they are. They are acting out of lower vibrations that they created into their being. Vibrations such as hatred, fear. But the main thing to know about that is that when somebody does act out of a lower vibration, it is not the truth of them. They are momentarily blinded or deceived. If you knew your true nature, you would never voluntarily choose to act out of lower vibrations. If you aligned with your true nature, you would never choose to hold a vibration that's lower than your true nature. So, but when you embody here on earth, this is a growth experience. This is where you need to learn about how to hold the vibration that is who you are, that is who you were created as, that is your true nature, in the face of, this perceived separation from spirit and separation from God and separation from each other, and in the face of the lower vibrations that are permitted to exist on the earth. So it is a learning journey. So when you come here, you are faced with situations that are not ideal, and people do react by going into lower vibrations, and that does put that vibration into their being. It's not like you've acted out of a low vibration, that's it. It actually does. Every vibration you've held stays in your being. You're constantly growing, and as a spirit, you are constantly receiving energy, and you're using that energy to grow your spirit. So if you are holding a lower vibration, that's what you're putting into your soul vessel. So what does this have to do with forgiveness? Well, beings that understand that the true nature of every being is love, they don't ever hold another being in judgment, no matter what that being has done, because they understand that everything that being has done is out of a mistake, or out of them being trapped in lower vibrations, out of their consciousness being pulled in and experiencing the world through these lower vibrations. And they don't judge that being for not aligning yet with their true nature. And they know that that's the truth of them. There's something very interesting in the text, A Course in Miracles. There's basically this concept that says, you were created, and you were created as pure love. You can't actually change what you were created as, because you're not in charge of your spirit in that way. It is the being, the creator that created you, that has defined who you are. So anything you do, and it's that energy of pure love that was, that your soul came from, or your spirit came from, that your consciousness sprung from. It's still linked to that energy, that initial energy. Your consciousness is still linked to that. So therefore, you cannot ever be something else. You cannot ever truly be evil. You cannot ever truly be selfish. You cannot ever truly be cruel or mean. You can act that way when your consciousness is temporarily experiencing these other vibrations, but it is not the truth of you. You cannot change who you are. You will forever be what you were created as. All right. So the beings that align with that truth and understand that and actually align with that vibration, they can only hold another being in their thoughts or in their awareness and attention with the vibration of love. So, you know, beings that are aligned with that vibration would never have judgment for another being. They don't need to forgive. They don't need to forgive another person for what they have done. So why do we judge, and why do we need to forgive? So when we are no longer aligned with that vibration that we were created as, that has no judgment, that is just pure unconditional love for every being, and that understands the nature of everybody's spirits and understands what happens when you're in body, and has an understanding of, you know, how souls can be misaligned from their nature. When you you know, those beings, you know, don't judge, but when we do get lose alignment with that, we create what has been termed the ego. We create a new sense of identity, but made out of lower vibrations. And a lot of us have inhabited, or all of us have inhabited, these lower vibrations for so long. We actually identify that that is who we are. We don't feel divine anymore. We don't feel unconditional love flowing through us. We feel these lower energies that we term, that's me, that's my personality, and we act out of those. And it is only when we're in those lower vibrations can we look at another person with anger, you know, even if that person is hurting us. When you're aligned with unconditional love, you don't you still don't have judgment or upset at them, and you also don't identify yourself as a body. So you don't, you know, even if somebody physically hurts you, if you are aligned with your spiritual identity and who you truly are, then you would not still judge or hold any negative emotions towards that person, because you do not see their actions as hurting you, because you recognize that your body is not really you, it's just your temporary vehicle, right? So so to hold another being with judgment or with negative emotion, that always comes from the lower vibrations in you, the lower vibrations we can call the ego. Only that part of your being can actually look at another person and hold something less than love. So why do we need to forgive everyone everything? So unless you forgive everyone everything, then unless you do that, then you are trapped inside, or you're trapped by lower vibrations. So not only when you forgive everyone everything do you energetically release those people, so you're no longer sending them negative energy when you hold them in your thoughts, but you're also, in that process of forgiveness, what is actually happening, because the conventional way of forgiving is not really true forgiveness. The way people think about forgiveness is, let's say there's an energy that's judged another person that's in your being. And on top of that, a lot of people say, well, you know, I want to forgive. So they somehow try to rationalize those person's actions. And they don't really release the energy of that judgment, but on top of that, they build some sort of acceptance that they pass off as forgiveness. They say, all right, well, you know, I won't be angry anymore, or I will not think ill of you anymore. But a lot of the time, they, you know, use some other lower part of, or some other lower vibration. They might instead pity that person. You know, I won't be angry at you, I forgive you, and I'll pity you. So you see, they've substituted that initial judgment, which is still there. On top of that, they've put something like pity. So that's conventional forgiveness. I won't be mad at you, I'll let it go, but I won't forget it, right? Whereas true forgiveness comes when you are actually able to release this part of your ego that actually has a judgment. You release those false ideas about people and you realign back with your true nature, which is unconditional love. You recognize that that person's true nature is unconditional love, no matter what they've done, no matter how they've acted. You recognize that person's true nature is unconditional love. You recognize that that person is in pain because they're not aligned with their own true nature. So they cannot experience true joy because they are not feeling their own spirit. And everything that a person does that is cruel or mean, it comes from pain. It comes from defense mechanisms that they've dealt with, that they've created to deal with that pain. So you recognize that every being that is doing anything not out of love is doing this out of pain. They might not experience that pain in the moment because they're so used to acting out of aggression or vibrations that they have put on top of their pain. But essentially they're acting out of a reaction to their own pain. And the reason they have pain is because they went out of alignment with the truth of who they are and the truth that they are worthy, that they are unconditional love, and they are unconditionally loved as well. So when you realign with that, you're able to release this energy in your being that is the lower energy of judgment. You're able to allow it to die, essentially. Now, that is true forgiveness. Okay, you are literally wiping out of your being that energy that actually held that judgment against that person. You are viewing them the way that God or Source views them. You are viewing them now with unconditional love. You are viewing them without giving any reality to their actions that were out of alignment with their true nature. And you are now looking at them and you are holding the image of them aligning with their true nature and rediscovering who they are. And when it's almost like every person you do not forgive, every action you do not forgive, by holding that, you're also holding in place inside you a lower vibration and energy, right? So you cannot actually realign with your true self, your spirit, your higher self. You cannot actually finish what you came here to learn to do unless you forgive everyone, everything. So it's a double-edged sword. It's not for them. Yes, it is for you. It's not just so that you don't experience anger. It's actually so that you release those parts of you that judge. You release those parts of you that are not aligned. So you really, if you are on a spiritual journey and you do want to realign with your original spiritual identity, there we go. You do actually need to forgive everyone, everything. And when you are forgiving everyone, everything, you gotta forgive God. You gotta forgive the world for the way it is. You gotta forgive everything that you are holding a grudge against, and it may be hard to find these grudges immediately. But if you meditate on forgiving everyone, everything, and you start with the things that are most obvious, when you let them go truly, you will experience what it is to let a piece of your ego die. Anyway, I hope you found this interesting, and I hope you've learned something from this. Anyway, have a good day.